Welcome to the W2W review. I am the Oakland tonight, and today I am running solo. It is Defensive Tuesday. I'm running solo. My partner in crime, Pirate, is on his way to one of my favorite places in all of California, which is Disneyland. He's taking a family trip. He gets a family day. So I'm wishing him the best and nothing but fun and safety for his family as he travels and has a good time today. All right, so Defensive Tuesday, here we go. First segment, I'm just going to talk about the defense as a whole and just kind of get into a few things that I just want to touch base upon as far as the things that I was looking at and how I look at the defense in the preseason in general. All right, so to get things started, the defense as a whole, as a complete whole, wow, we only gave up 10 points. So, you know, right off the top, I guess you could say through all four phases, first string, second string, third string, fourth string, you know, how about a round of applause, right? I mean, you only give up 10 points, you win the game. You know, you can look at it from a solid standpoint as far as that goes. Other than that, let's kind of break it down step by step here. So let's start with our first string defense. They started off great. I saw the potential early on. One of the key factors that really stood out to me was our defensive front. I liked the pressure that they got from all angles, especially up the middle. It's something that we didn't do on a consistent basis, especially the first half of the season. So when we were able to generate the pressure up the middle, I thought that was key to what we're going to see in 2016. So, you know, Jihad Ward was a part of that. Justin Jelly Ellis was a part of that. So these are the type of guys that we're looking for. Mario Edwards Jr. before he got hurt. So these are type of guys that we're going to look to create pressure up the middle to free up guys like Irvin and Mack on the outside. So if they're going to break out of the pocket, they're going to run into those big fellas. If they decide to step up in the pocket, they'll be running into Ellis and Ward. Edwards Jr. They had Autry playing defensive tackle. So there's a lot of options as we look forward to that defensive front. Now, going back into the linebackers, Malcolm Smith, I can't say enough about the guy. Since we picked him up, I mean, he's been solid. And when I mean solid, guys, I'm not trying to say he's the best thing that's ever happened to the Raiders, but he is very, very solid. When we were upset, you know, some of us were upset about the C.O. Moore dismissal, you know, we were left with Malcolm Smith. But I honestly think that that's not a bad thing at this point. I think Malcolm Smith has been more consistent than C.O. Moore. I think he's even starting to become one in his own inside the scheme, and I think he's going to be, and I know for a fact already he's better than C.O. Moore. So it was a definite upgrade. So I'm excited for Malcolm Smith. On the opposite side, it's kind of that rotating door. You're going to have guys like Bruce Irvin there. You're going to have guys like maybe Calhoun, possibly. We'll get into more of him in the second segment. You know, they had Coweser listed as an outside linebacker. So there's a lot of different things they're going to be looking at. But you know, it's the linebacker position is still intriguing to me. I still got to wait for some things to unfold as we move forward here. So when I look at the linebacking core, let's just keep an eye on it. There's a lot of different pieces that we need to look at and get right. But Ben Heaney, once again, guys, we heard it out of Reggie McKenzie and Jack Del Rio's mouth. This guy's the starter. Did he do enough to lose his job? No. Did he do enough to solidify his job? Hands down. No. I mean, it's first preseason game. And I'll get into that as I wrap up the show about the preseason, because it's something that I want to address with everybody that watches these videos. Take them for what they're worth, guys, okay? But Ben Heaney did everything I expected him to do. I mean, I've been saying all offseason, I mean, I'm still a little concerned on his passing game. But, you know, it's not as big of a deal. I mean, the biggest problem that I saw was he wasn't dropping back far enough into coverage. It's fixable, guys. And yes, his height is always going to be an issue, but like I said, it didn't slow down some other players I know that had height issues, and I don't really see it slowing Heaney down once he understands his depth. And, you know, it's all a process. You know, the hype, the first game of the season, getting out there, getting your feet wet, going and laying some wood on people. You know, we just got to go with the flow. It's just the way that it is. But all in all, I think the linebackers got a lot to prove. I can't necessarily leave the first preseason game going, our linebackers are beast, but there is some couple of bright spots in there. So it's enough to be, you know, and happy with. I don't want to use that word, just to be happy with. The corners, the cornerback position, wow. From a starting standpoint, right? I think Smith played well. He had a chance for a pick six. He did drop it, but he played the ball well. He did not let Larry Fitzgerald catch a ball. Another kudos to Smith. And we're talking very short-term time here, you know, short 2 series, right? So not going to pay too much attention into that. On the opposite side, Emerson, it looked to me that he struggled a bit. He got burned on a couple of plays. He missed a couple of angles and tackles at the line of scrimmage. But then again, you know, let's go reiterate this again. First preseason game. You've been off for a while. You know, you need to give this time to start to gel again, get your football legs back underneath you. So when you're looking at the starters, okay, keep this in mind. First preseason game, not really enough time to get your football legs back, get back in rhythm. By the time you're starting to maybe catch a flow of the game, you're being yanked, you know. And this is a testament for where we're at as a football team. Last year, those guys would have played the whole first quarter, maybe even the half. But we're to the point now where our starters are pretty much solidified. They can run 2 series, and we yank them. So that's something to be impressed with. Just as a team in a whole, right? The safeties, Reggie Nelson, solid, great range, great speed. Karl Joseph, there's some good and some bad. I mean, nothing too major, nothing that stands out to you. He's going to be a player in this league. So, you know, looking forward at this defense, you know, I think that, you know, it has the potential once again to get there. We got 3 games to work all these kinks out. So I think this would be a good time to make this statement. This is the way that the Will to Win is viewing preseason, okay, guys? We understand it's just preseason. None of this, you know, wins, losses, you know, stats, statistics. For the starters, it does not matter one bit. These guys are not getting enough time to make anything of it. It's another hybrid practice. However, preseason is essential to build your 53-man roster, especially your special teams. So the preseason are for the guys like Jihad Ward, James Coweser, you know, Shalik Calhoun, what are some of the offense? DeAndre Washington. And then you got some guys, those are some rookies. What about the guys like George Atkinson III that made a good name for himself this week? You know, guys like Seth Roberts fighting for his job because there's some young guys coming up on him. Andre Holmes, same thing. I mean, it matters to some of these players, okay? And they got to make the best of their time. So these are the players I want to look at. I want to look at the rookies. I want to look at the undrafted free agents. I want to look at some of the free agents like, you know, Corey James and stuff that we brought in, that we could kind of make it a focal point to keep an eye on these guys and see what they're going to do with their opportunity. We got a ton of defensive tackles in camp. You know, we got everybody from Stacy McGee to Leon Orr, Ellis Williams. There's a slew of these guys, and we got to pay close attention to what they're doing with their time. And we have to understand that some of them are going to be playing against lesser talent, and it's not so much the lesser talent that we need to worry about. All we need to look for from these young guys, from these guys that are trying to make this squad, because it's football, right? Once you start getting into the late seconds, third and fourth levels of this team right now, these guys are going to be playing hard. So it might not be the starters we want to see come week 1 in New Orleans, but it's still going to be some hardcore football. You know, it's going to make or break some of these guys' lives. So as we look at it, and there I go, I lost my train of thought. But as you look at it, these guys have an opportunity right now to showcase and to see if they're a system fit. We've been talking about it all off season. You know, Knight, what's a system fit? System fit is simple, guys. It's the system that Norton and Jack put together, there's certain key things that they look for. Some of it, a lot of it, most of it is a Seattle-based type look, but Jack threw his own little mix in there as well. So, you could base a lot of it off what Seattle does. So you're looking at the cornerback size, some of the way that they have their safeties, the way that they want their safeties to play. So they're looking for specific players to be able to do certain things, and do they have the talent and skill level to do it? And then now they're putting it to use. When I give you my scheme, I don't care. You got the college tape. You were looking at what they were able to do. You're looking to say, hey, could they fit the system that we're building? Yeah. So they draft these guys. Now they have to go out there and prove it. So that's what the Will to Win is doing. We're looking at it from that perspective. We don't put a lot of stock into our starters and what our team is going to be in 2016 by what we see in preseason. But we're looking for small little details that we could kind of keep an eye on as this team starts to take shape and form itself. And we start seeing some of these names like Ward, Calhoun, Coweser, Corey James, all these names start popping up, and we're like, okay, yeah, I remember you. Just another way to look at it. But that's where we're at as far as that goes. Now, looking forward to what I believe that this defense is going to be capable of. Number one, pressure up the middle. I want a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Once again, that'll free up our linebackers to be able to hit their gaps a lot easier. And then that's going to allow the safeties, the corners, to be able to be in the right position to make plays. And that's what's key here. So did we get enough of that in this first preseason game? Absolutely not. It was the first preseason game. But we did get a taste of what some of these young, talented players that we need to look at. So let's keep an eye. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about a couple of those players and just kind of so we have an idea of what to look forward to as we move on into Green Bay. But other than that, I think the tackling was an issue. Talk about some more of the negative. Tackling was definitely a problem. And once again, I love the way that Jack Del Rio handled himself. I believe that Jack Del Rio took the podium, and it's so different, right? We talked about this last year. Hearing Jack speak with authority, and there's just you look the look in his eye, you just believe the guy. You know that he knows what he's talking about. It's so different than Dennis Allen in the way that he held his press conferences. He was saying the right things, but you never really could believe what he said. We used to make fun of it a lot. And even a guy like Sperano, I think he was a good talker at the podium, but he just seemed like one of those BSers, a guy that's just going to be out there. He knows all the right things to say. He knows how to say it. He was a seasoned veteran himself. He's been a head coach before, but he was a rah-rah guy to me. And all due respect to Tony Sperano. So it's night and day hearing Allen and Sperano talk versus Jack Del Rio. So I do believe that Jack is going to make it a focal point to get this team ready for Green Bay and really buckle down and get these guys to tackle. I mean, this was their first taste of it. But all in all, in a whole, I believe that we saw enough that we have the talent once again to start piecing this together. It's too early to see what that puzzle is going to look like, but I see that the pieces are there, and that's promising moving forward. Outside of that, I just once again kudos to Norton for calling the plays. We played a lot of bend and don't break. That's what it ended up looking like, but we only gave up 10 points. So in saying that kind of makes me excited. I'm happy for that. So let's keep an eye on that. I want it to be more 3 and out. We did not let them get into the red zone and score a touchdown, and I thought that was huge. But in my opinion, they shouldn't have been down there to begin with. We had a lot of missed opportunities. But once again, we got some turnovers from our secondary out of all places, right? So that was good. And then we had some more on special teams. And that's one guy I want to maybe touch base on in the next segment. That's when we're going to go over the players. But the special team turnovers, I think, were excellent as well. It really set us up. So looking ahead, let's go ahead and take our break, and then when we come back from our break, we'll be able to talk about some of the players I believe that made a name for themselves in the first preseason game, at least as far as us keeping an eye on them to see if they can build upon what they showcased to us. All right, so we'll talk about that after break, so stay tuned.
MMM Carpets is celebrating the holidays with a huge inventory clearance sale. We have the best prices and guaranteed installation. Why would you buy anywhere else? Whether you're looking for laminate, vinyl, carpet, tile, or wood, we have it all. Save up to 50% on selected items. Room size rugs, only $69. Visit MMM Carpets at one of our 6 Bay Area locations or call us at 1-800-355-4MMM.
Welcome back to the W2W Review. I'm the Oakland Knight, running solo, wishing my partner in crime, Raider Pirate, a nice safe trip on his way to Disneyland. We're talking Defensive Tuesday here, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's get into some of these players that I believe that we need to keep a strong eye on as far as what they were able to do in Friday's matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go ahead and start from the defensive line, work my way back a little bit, and just pick out a few players. Obviously, right off the top of the bat, an honorable mention, a short-term mention. He didn't really play a whole lot, which was shocking for a rookie. But Jihad Ward, he played with our first team unit. He showcased his ability to get to the quarterback, cause pressure up the middle. It's something that we knew that we brought him in for. He's really quick off the line. He's a big, strong guy. We saw him do that little swim move and add the pressure right at the middle and just attack the quarterback. Look for more of that. Either Mac, I think it was even a play where Mac really set that one up. He came over off the edge, and Palmer had to step up in the pocket, and there was Ward coming up the middle. So look for that, or look for these big men up the middle to push these guys out. And I think Jihad Ward did an outstanding job of getting it to that point. So, yeah, keep an eye on Jihad Ward. That's definitely someone that we need to see his development as we grow. The other guy, the main guy on that defensive front for me that really stood out, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree, shockingly enough, was one James Coweser. Now, this cat, man, he was all over the place. His name was mentioned 100 times, it seemed like, every play. Oh, there's Coweser. Oh, there's Coweser. Now, Coweser did not come out and play a perfect game or anything, right? He didn't and in fact, the whole team as a unit didn't get any sacks. But I do believe that the pressure he was getting, especially from the edges, was key. And I heard Matt Millen say in the broadcast, well, he's good at a lot of things. He's just really not an expert at anything. He's not, And I was like, you know what, though, Matt? I will take a guy that's really good at a lot of different things. That makes him versatile. It's something that I know that this team actually likes. They want versatility on this football team. So if James Coweser can do that on special teams and be a situational pass rusher and grow from there, I think that's a good starting point for this kid. I mean, he has a lot to learn. He seemed to be a little out of shape, get a little winded at times. He probably played a lot more than he expected. They wanted to let this kid rip. He was all over the place. But James Coweser definitely, he set the stage for himself. Now he's the spotlight's going to be on him a little bit heading into Green Bay. So look out for James Coweser. And then moving forward from Coweser, what about Greg Townsend? I thought he showed a lot of skill set too. He did have the penalty, the roughing the passer penalty, a typical rookie mistake. But he just seemed to get there. I think it was like 3 or 4 times I've seen this kid just explode off the line, get penetration. So even though, it's a crowded front that we're running, I think these are just a few guys, Ward, Coweser, and Townsend, hey, they're showing the ability to get to the passer, so it's going to be interesting. I don't see all 3 of them making the roster, though, because we're so deep there. But a couple of them have a chance, and especially with Mario Edwards with the hip injury, some people say 2, some people say 4, and I've heard reports as high as 6 weeks before Mario Edwards Jr. could return to the field. So wishing him a speedy recovery. I think maybe, even if they say 2, maybe look for about 4. Give him some time to do some rehab work too. But at least it's better news than we thought it was. So that's positive moving forward. But I mean, special teams is the key at this point for at least 2 of those guys, Coweser and Townsend. So we'll see if they can make some plays there as well. Dropping back to linebackers, Calhoun was the main guy that I was looking at. And to be honest with you, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I'd be. But once again, guys, we're talking week 1 of the preseason, so he could have had just a little bit more jitters, a little bit more butterflies, he got caught up in his own head. Hey, I'm just throwing some excuses out there for the guy, but he's a grown man. He doesn't need me to stand up for him. So but he's still, he's our 3rd round pick. So as someone that we need to keep an eye on, there's definitely opportunities for him there. Now remember, he's a defensive end in college. They're trying to move him back and make him more like a Bruce Irvin and Aldon Smith, more of an outside linebacker hybrid that will come up and rush off the edge standing up. So it's a work in progress. But like I said, there's 3 more games to go, but the Calhoun did not necessarily light it up to the point where I was like, okay, this is what I expected. In fact, Coweser took the spotlight from him, so it was quite interesting. But nevertheless, Calhoun is one of these guys that we most definitely need to keep an eye on, watch his growth, and see if he can make a name for him if it comes to that on special teams as well. Because, the linebacker position in general, to me, is where we need players. Especially on that outside strong side. We want to utilize, Mack will be there at times, Bruce Irvin will be there at times, God willing, and Godell, letting Aldon Smith come back. We will have him in November, but, for right now, we need some pieces. We need Ron Ball to step up. We need Calhoun to step up. Coweser, they're trying to put Coweser there at times too. But I think Coweser's strength, we saw that Friday night, was coming off the edges as a defensive end. So I would say, stick to that. But outside that, let's go ahead and slide inside a little bit. We touched on Ben Heaney a little bit in his struggles. And where Ben Heaney struggled, Corey James seemed to shine for me. He was able to get depth in the middle of the field and cover the the tight end. And he was also able to have Nate Allen backing him up there. That one play, he dropped back deep enough to coverage where I believe it was Matt Barkley had to get it high enough over him that he overshot it right into Nate Allen's mitts. So that's how that pick happened. It was a good play. Nate Allen was where he was supposed to be. James got the drop just where he needed to be. He forced the throw a little high, and we got the pick. Not that we solely going to give that to Corey James, but you just saw the difference in understanding his drop. So that was good. He also made some plays up front. He looked really solid. This guy is more than a special teams guy. And there's one thing that we know, he could play special teams. That's all we ever hear, especially about unknown guys. But remember, Reggie's been really good about finding guys that didn't have the opportunities on other squads that they'll have here. And even a guy like Bruce Irvin's one of them. So, maybe Corey James could actually make a name for himself and make it happen. So keep an eye on Corey James. Do I see Corey James taking over Ben Heaney's spot? Not really. No, I don't. I believe that, I just don't want us to get caught up in a situation where we try to use Heaney for the first 2 downs and then try to bring and rotate too many people, especially when you're dealing with a Mike linebacker. So, no, I think Heaney beats him out. I think Heaney figures it out. I mean, this Heaney, guys, is totally off the charts. I mean, this guy is, if the only thing he needs to get better at is dropping deeper into coverage when the tight end's going up the seam, I think we're going to be okay. It's just a thing. Now let's go into the cornerbacks. Wow, the cornerbacks. We touched base on our starters. Not much there to really base anything off. I mean, I know Amerson had some miscues, some missed tackles. He got burned a couple of times once again, week 1. But I was really looking forward to this matchup with TJ Carey and DJ Hayden. Now, they were the backup outside corners. I wasn't impressed, man. It seemed a bit more of the same. And what I'll say about TJ Carey is, TJ Carey may not fit the system cornerback wise, right? So they're going to battle out for that nickel spot, covering the slot. I heard Jack Del Rio talk about it this week already, that DJ Hayden's looked good in camp, and he's looking for him to be that nickel guy. So that kind of came out of Jack's mouth. So once again, look for DJ Hayden and TJ Carey, the primary focus being that slot position. So there's a roster spot for all these guys. When you look at some of the top corners we have, obviously Smith, Amerson, TJ Carey, DJ Hayden, Thorpe, and McDonald, they were all on this team last year. And in fact, not only were all of them on the team, we also had Keith McGill in the mix, who's now playing safety. So I see all those guys that I mentioned. I believe that there's a spot there for them, especially if they're going to contribute on special teams. So not really too much to talk about there, quite honestly, because of that. But, honorable mention. I had a top corner, so I thought I'd bring that up. I saw a lot of different things from a lot of these different guys. Thorpe and McDonald, some good, some bad. I mean, it is what it is. As far as the safety position goes, Nate Allen pulls the hamstring. Yeah, it is what it is. Injury-prone guy. We're leaning on Reggie Nelson. We're leaning on Karl Joseph. But I must admit, I was a little bit impressed with Keith McGill. Now, once again, I talked about Keith McGill before. He's played safety in college before getting moved to corner. So, I mean, he does have an understanding back there. So, with his size and his speed, it'd be nice to see if he can make the adjustment and transfer over to being that guy, Not obviously not talking about taking over a starting position. You already know that Reggie Nelson and Karl Joseph is going to have that on lock. But, with Nate Allen being so injury prone, we're looking for another guy to step up. The other guy doing McDonald, horrible. It was just horrible. So at the end of the day, I mean, I believe that there is depth all across this field. I know, once again, though, I come out of this, a little worried about the linebacker position. I'm not going to lie. I love Malcolm Smith. He's the one piece that I know is solid. And depending on what title you want to give the strong side, you can give it to Bruce Irvin, you can give it to Khalil Mack. And then, yeah, that's going to sound great. But let's face it, they want those guys to be primary pass rushers, move Mack around. So then you're going with, Naron Ball and... I don't know. I'm not feeling strong right now on that strong side as far as a pure, straight, strong outside linebacker. But once again, there's a lot of things that got to develop as we look forward to this season. So that kind of covers just a few guys that we can look at from top to bottom as we move forward into Game 2 against Green Bay Thursday night. But other than that, I mean, I think it's very, very key that we understand what preseason is, guys, and to all those who that live show is an instant reaction live show. It's emotions. Hey, it's Raider football. A win's a win, and it's fun just to watch our squad out there. Am I putting any major big eggs into my basket thinking anything that we see in preseason is going to be reality in regular season? No. So I want to reiterate that. Me and Pirate talk about it all the time. We're looking for scheme fit players. We're looking for guys that they brought in with a specific skill set to play in this system and how it's going to work and how it's going to fit. That is our main focus moving forward. So I hope that we get a better understanding for that. And that's why we're going to do this every week throughout the preseason and kind of keep an eye on these matchups and see who's rising to the top. But yeah, anyway, we got some exciting, Kate. Normal scheduling program, a Wednesday show would be based off of press conferences. This Wednesday is going to be a little different, which is tomorrow. We are going to be taking a look at a developing situation, if that's what you want to call it, and we want to kind of change gears with it, and we want to turn the spotlight back to where it needs to be. That's all I will say. So you guys need to make sure that you're tuning in tomorrow to the W2W review. It's going to be another epic show, and we don't want you guys to miss out on that one. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow to the W2W review. We're going to right a wrong. That's all I'll say about that. But moving forward, if you're not following us on Instagram, you're not following us on Twitter, you're not following us on Facebook, you can find us all at The Will to Win. Okay, so just go to those places, look up The Will to Win. That's how you can find us there. Also, subscribe to this channel. Like these videos if you like the content. We're doing our best. We're growing. I think we're getting stronger, week in and week out. And, there's still some things we're working on, but it's a work in progress. We're feeling good about where we're headed and what got us here. So, and we appreciate all the support and all the love that we've been getting. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, please email us at thew2w@gmail.com. That is thew2w@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you guys. as far as the question format, we're not really doing that, but if the question's good enough, we will definitely address it on one of our W2W review shows. And if we get enough questions in, we could definitely do that. But other than that, that's what we got looking forward. We're excited for tomorrow's show, so make sure you tune in. We'll be getting into depth on a real important issue, at least for the Will to Win. All right, guys, until tomorrow, you guys keep your heads up and stay Raider strong. Hey there, I'm Jason Smith, also known as the Oakland Knight. We'd like to thank you for watching the Will to Win broadcast here on YouTube. And if you would like to stay up to date for more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Or you could click any one of the videos on the side to watch more great videos. Thank you once again, and stay Raider strong.